Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
I talk into a microphone like I'm giving a TED Talk, but I have no degrees. I will be...
Yes, you do have a degree.
Well, I have a degree,
okay,
but it's not
I paid for that degree.
Yes, that's a good point. I don't want to dismiss my bachelor's in English from KU, but we should dismiss it because I got through based on Spark Notes for that whole degree. But yeah, I just feel like I'm a comedian who is willing to be wrong and apologize. So please don't punch me.
I'm Sarah Fensky. Nikki Glaser was at the peak of her career in 2020. Well, we all know what happened next. So she decided to move back home to St. Louis for a bit and stay with her parents. Now, more than 2 years later, she's still here. And her experience returning to the Gateway City is being chronicled in a new reality show on the E! Network. Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser airs on Sundays at 10 p.m.
Give it up for Nikki Glaser, everybody.
I was well on my way to becoming one of the most successful female comics working today. And then the pandemic hit. So I moved back to my hometown of St. Louis.
I never get recognized in this town. I'm Nikki Glaser!
You're gonna get canceled for this.
I don't touch touching mulch. I'm able to spend time with my family.
How did you ever survive this terrible childhood?
I became a comedian.
Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser documents Nikki reconnecting with old friends, hanging out with her parents, and hitting up some quintessential St. Louis places. Our producer, Emily Woodbury, sat down with Nikki Glaser and her dad, EJ, to talk about their experience working on the show.
Nikki, EJ, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming in.
It's so fun to do press with my dad.
Yeah.
Nikki calls me a cast member. I never thought of myself as that.
Yeah,
you know, I was wondering if I should call you a cast member. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you've both been, having cameras following you around for months. How did it feel to see the final product on Sunday, to see yourself on the big screen?
It's exciting. It's very exciting. They were you kind of forget the cameras are on you after a while, so you really do be natural. You really act naturally, and but then anything can happen in the editing room. So we were nervous about that, but so far we've been delighted with how well it's been. We've only seen the first 2 episodes.
I loved it. I felt the same way about, I didn't really have a lot of control once all of the footage goes off. I can try to do my best and represent who I am in front of the cameras, but you just never know what they're going to do with, they can, I've worked on the other side of reality TV as a producer on F-Boy Island and as a host, and I've seen what can be done in the edit to do what you want to do, and so I was nervous, but my overall feeling once I watched it the other night was like, it's this weird feeling I have that I've never had before of watching myself. When I usually watch my stand-up or myself on a talk show or anything like that, I usually it's a performative thing I'm watching. This felt like I was watching home videos in a way that I was seeing myself like I view reality stars when I watch them at home. Like I was kind of rooting for her. I was like, oh, she's so sweet. Like she's just doing her best. And I think that as a, self-hating comedian, a lot of times it has, issues with, just self-esteem issues. It actually made me like myself more and think, oh my gosh, this girl is like, she's adorable. She's trying her best. She's flawed, but like I like her. And it's been a week of liking myself more because of the side of myself I saw on TV. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But rewarding. Yeah.
I like you more now too.
Oh, good. Yeah, you're getting I'm
starting to love you.
Yeah. Finally. At least someone is.
Well, EJ, were you excited or did it take some convincing?
Yeah. Well, when Nikki told us about it, she said, hey, we're going to do a pilot. And we interviewed with a production company on Zoom during the pandemic, and they talked to us. And Nikki said, don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. These things never do. So we did a pilot, and it was all fun and games. It was all fun and games until they called and said, you have a show.
Yeah.
Then it was like, wait a second, what do we sign up for here?
Yeah, it was it's something that's most of my career is agreeing to do things that I just don't think there's any way that it'll ever happen, and then it does happen, and I'm like, oh no, I have to do this, and then you do it. Like, that's, people are always like, you work so hard, and I'm like, I just agree to things that I don't think will actually ever happen. We all have that feeling of being like, I'd love to go to that party in 4 weeks, and then it arrives and you go, oh God, I don't want to go to this tonight. But when you said that you wanted to go, you did. So that's what I do with my career. I just like say yes to things that I know that a future me should want, but I never do.
But if you saw the agreement we had to sign with the production company, you would just, it was so onerous. I mean, they can basically do anything.
Yeah,
and they said, have your entertainment lawyers look at this. It's like, I have an entertainment lawyer waiting in the wings.
Call him real quick.
And so we just met with the production company. Nikki assured us, hey, they're not going to do anything to make us look too bad. So we just signed it and said, okay.
Yeah. How many hours did you film,
It was a lot. I was on the road every single weekend. I taped a HBO special that's coming out in July, but I taped that at the it was right before Thanksgiving, and we taped right up until my special taping, which I would never have planned it that way. But when, production goes into production, it's just like whatever's going on in your life, that's, you can't really fit it into your life. You kind of work around their schedule. So every time I was home Monday through Friday, and I was gone every weekend, usually Friday through Sunday, I was filming all day. And it would start at probably 11 and go until 6, 7, 8, 9 sometimes. And, you get breaks here and there. It was grueling because, I wouldn't be, people can say reality shows are fake, and sometimes they are. Like, I was doing things I wouldn't do if I hadn't been being followed around by cameras. But within those moments was exactly how I would act in those moments. Like, I wouldn't have used one of my days off to go canoeing with my dad in, Forest Park. But that's a reality show trope where you go to this workout class, go, babysit your nephew. Like, they want you to do more interesting things than take a nap and,
but
watch TV. You can't watch TV or be on your phone, really, on a reality show.
You don't interrupt your life. I had to have 4 teeth pulled, and that's in the very front, too. So that's going to be part of the reality show. I hope not too much.
They were psyched when they heard that was happening.
I'm toothless for 5 days during it.
Yes. And because I'm not like an alcoholic or a really angry person, they're not getting a lot of outbursts and table flipping and throwing wine. So those moments where I was like, your dad's having teeth removed, like, thank God we have an episode arc, because I'm interesting and I'm funny and I'm honest, but I'm not a mess. And that's the only reason I'm doing this show, is because I'm not capable of doing anything that I can't stand behind. Like, there's nothing you're going to catch me doing where I'm going to go, that's so embarrassing, because I know who I am now, and I'm not really ashamed of it. And the things that people do go, oh my God, like that you heard in that promo clip, I often forget poop bags for my dog. And instead of just leaving it there and being like, I'll get it later, which no one does, let's be honest with ourselves, I will take mulch and cover it in mulch and then create a barrier of mulch around it that I can pick up the mulch, and the dog poop is within the center, and it embarrasses my roommate when he witnesses it. But I'm like, this is less embarrassing than leaving it. And that's a thing that's like, it's embarrassing, but I don't care. I own that. I don't get poop on my hand. It's a safe way to do it, and there's no plastic bags.
There's going to be a mysterious disappearance of mulch all around the city now.
Yeah, I did note that down, because I've been without a bag before. It's mortifying.
It's so embarrassing, and you kind of
I've
wait
used
around.
leaves before.
Yeah, you can use leaves, but those aren't that official. If you completely douse it in mulch and make a big thing of it, or hay or something around, you can safely pick it up. And that's the kind of thing that I do on the show that other people are like, oh my God. But I'm like, I own it. I'm not, ashamed of it.
So we've seen you, as you mentioned, canoeing in Forest Park.
Yeah.
You went rollerblading at Steinberg in Forest Park, shopping at Goodwill, lunch in the Grove. What other St. Louis locales are we going to see this season?
We have a little river cabin out in the Eureka area, and we filmed out there one day, so that'll be featured.
The City Museum. We have a party there.
Yeah, you can't miss
the Arch.
The City
I have
Museum.
a date there. God, we're all over the place. I mean, I think we spent one episode in Los Angeles, because I was out there doing press and having like a big wild Los Angeles weekend. And
Chicago.
Then, there was one trip to Chicago for my live show, my theater show, and then also Kansas City. But it's a St. Louis show, and it's so funny, Emily. Like, since I've been promoting this show, everyone who's like in show business, I'll do an interview with them about this show of me living in St. Louis. And then off air, they go, so where are you now? And I go, St. Louis. And they go, oh, that's real? They all think I made this up. And that because
Who would
no
ever
one
move there?
No, not that. It's just no one trusts that anything on TV is actually real, even reality. And people who are in the know that pretty much everything is fake. But I really was adamant about making this show reflective of how my real life is. If you watch it, like I look like hell a lot of times. Like I look like I just woke up. I don't wear if I was doing a scene where I wouldn't wear makeup, I didn't wear makeup. I didn't get new clothes. I didn't tidy my apartment. I wanted it to actually be a reflection of what my life is like. And my big goal in all of this was I think since I got a little bit more notoriety, I've been getting fans writing me, young girls even like my age, being like, you're so perfect, like your legs and your hair and your skin, and you're so confident. And the second that stuff started coming in, I'm like, no, you don't get, that's not accurate. I get what you're doing because I did it to celebrities too. But there's another story here that I must share with you, because do not compare yourself to me when I'm on TV, because it is not reality. There are many tricks of lighting and hours of hair and makeup, and I spray paint my legs orange with Sally Hansen spray. So I feel like this show is really a look at a celebrity's life where you're like, oh, whoa, she looks rough there. Like I look hungover constantly and I don't drink, but it's okay. I wasn't trying to be ugly. It's just sometimes I look not good. It's
as far
okay.
as the way I look on camera, it's a little too real. I like pull the cameras back, please.
That's what
they keep
everyone
zooming
says.
in on me.
Not about you, but everyone that's on this show. This is the unique thing about this reality show as well. No one on it except me and my roommate Andrew Collin want to be on this show. No one else. It's rare for a reality show where everyone on it doesn't want to be on it. Everyone has a motive of getting famous on any reality show you watch, except mine. They were all kind of like, I had to twist their arm to do it. And there's something, refreshing about that.
Oh, absolutely. Although your mom and your wife, Julie, she is a natural. Like, I know the show is about you, Nikki, but
no, I knew that she was a star, and I feel I'm very flattered when people say she's the star of the show, because that was my intent. I mean, my mom and dad, my dad hasn't been able to shine yet because he had COVID for the second episode, so he was missing from it. But I was living with them for 10 months and putting them on my Instagram and realizing they're gold. I don't even have to give them a prompt. I just put my camera on them and go and ask them a question, and it's funny, whatever they say. I have to try to be funny. They don't. It's actually annoying. So they're amazing. I love how much people have loved them on the show.
You mentioned in the show, Nikki, that it's weird to perform stand-up in St. Louis, your hometown, especially if your parents come. And you said, lucky for you, your dad, EJ, actually got COVID for your performance.
He missed my big factory show. Mm-hmm.
So no hearing about Nikki's sex life on stage that day. But and you mentioned that because you're opening up about personal things, and you don't want to see someone at the grocery store and have them know that about you.
Yes.
What is it like now? Because, Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser is showcasing your life in a city that often feels like a small town, but it's also now, global streaming.
Yes.
What is it like to have that vulnerability?
There's something about the show that is not as, there are definitely aspects of the show sexually where I get into things that I am just cringing watching. We had a watch party the other night, and I'm just like, I'm never in the audience when I say these things. I'm always on stage. The lights are bright. I can't see the audience. I might know my parents are there or know people I know are there, but I'm never sitting next to them witnessing it. It was very uncomfortable. And I just feel like all I'm trying to do with my act, whether it's lewd or crude or however you want to back alley humor, whatever you want to describe it as, it is me I'm not trying to offend anyone. I think a lot of people think that comedians are always trying to offend. I'm just trying to talk about things that I think everyone should be talking about, because it's what we're all thinking about. I'm just trying to tell the truth. And I hate when people are offended or people are uncomfortable. That's why I didn't go to a viewing party with my partner's family, because I'm like, I did it with my family. I cannot sit next to your family watching that. I just can't do it. Have fun, but I can't. And no, it's definitely made me go, okay, in the future, maybe I don't say certain things, but I just always say it would be, I don't know, it would feel, I wouldn't have integrity as an artist if I pulled back just because my dad might see it. I think that I always give the example of Cardi B. Like, if we went to go see her in concert, or because her dad was alive, she couldn't put out the song WAP. For me, WAP was like an anthem, and I really appreciated it. It's filthy. But what if she was like, I can't do that till my dad's not on this earth anymore? Like, we would miss out on so much art. It's my dad's decision to listen. If he wants to listen, he knows that risk. It's not... I have responsibility to protect them in terms of what I say about them. But if I say something about myself, it's their choice whether they listen. And although it's awkward, I just have to say, sorry. Don't listen if earmuffs.
I can give an example of that. When Nikki did her Netflix special out in L.A., we flew out Nikki brought us out for the show, and she did 2 shows because they used 2 shows to get the special together. And I sat there with a buddy of mine and watched the first show, and I loved it. But I said, we were supposed to sit through the second show. I said, I can't sit through the second show. I need a drink. Please.
I know. Dad always says that people come up to him after my shows and go, "Are you all right, man?" Like he's attending my funeral. Like, do you need support? I'll be back by tomorrow with a casserole.
Sorry you do this.
Yeah.
No, but I love it. I love what she does. I love how honest she is. To me, I would have to pull some punches, but I admire that about Nikki. I've always told her that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be able to do that and know that my parents still love me and support me. But I understand them having like boundaries of like, I can't listen to that. I'm not like hurt if they don't want to listen. If anything, I'm like, please. I had a show at the Ryman a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't my best show because my partner was there, my family was there. I was in my head the entire time, and I haven't told you this yet, Dad. I can't have you at shows anymore. It's like I cannot juggle taking care of everyone's feelings for the show. Like, I couldn't focus. I wasn't present. I was just like trying to make them laugh, but also not make them uncomfortable. I'm developing more empathy along the way as I age, and I try to. And I want my performances to be my fans I talk to more like the way you listen to my podcast. I'm like I look at my podcast listeners as my best friends. I would not talk to my best friends about the same things I talk to my parents about. Just because it's public does not mean my parents should listen to it.
I agree.
I sometimes have to say, and my parents hate when I compare myself to a porn star. You wouldn't want your parents watching what you do, but it doesn't negate the fact that you have been successful in this thing that a lot of people do enjoy, but it's not for everyone.
Absolutely.
You love my porn. It's like verbal porn, but I'm not trying to titillate. I'm just trying to be honest. Yes.
Yes, I am a listener of the Nikki Glaser podcast. We should mention that is available on weekdays wherever you stream your podcasts. And Nikki, I wonder, you talk about your parents attending your shows. What is it like to live in this city where, not only are you famous from your comedy, but now you have a show? Is that weird to have people kind of, knowing the building you live in? I mean, for instance, in episode, was it 2 of the series, Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser, your parents get swatted while you're performing.
Yeah,
so
someone
police
called the cops saying that I was there with drugs and guns and just this thing so that their plan was for the cops to show up and break down my parents' door and terrorize them under the assumption that I was there with guns. I wasn't there. I was performing in Chesterfield at the factory. It was this big. My dad wasn't even there. My mom was there alone. It was very scary. I do have fears about my safety and people feeling like they know me too much, and people who are mentally unwell thinking they have a connection with me that they don't, just by virtue of doing podcasts. You feel very connected to people when they're in your ear talking to you every day for hours. And some people that aren't on meds and don't have help start to think delusionally and can hurt you. But I just... I can't live in fear. I may be a little bit in denial of it, but I take precautions, but it is weird. But I will say that I think now I'll probably get recognized more because on the show I don't have makeup on a lot, but generally I look so different than I do on these really dolled up appearances that you normally see me on, that when people do recognize me, I'm almost offended. I'm like, I don't look like this. But now I think with the reality show, it's I've outed myself as for my bare face.
It was weird for the swatting episode. People probably thought because Nikki was performing in the city that they assumed my wife and I would be, Julie and I would be at the show. So I think they wanted the cops to just beat the door down. I think that was their goal.
Oh, right.
They have them because I had COVID, so I was at a
Saved
river
by the
cabin.
COVID.
And Julie was home because she was quarantining because she was exposed and she didn't ever get it. But anyway, so that was how that unfolded.
Yeah, since then we've taken security measures to, prevent that kind of thing. But there's really nothing you can do. Everything is out there for people to find, and I just can't become super paranoid. I don't want to own. I have mace and everything, and trying to learn how to protect myself more. I'm already a paranoid person, pretty good about not being alone a lot of times, but it's still, it's still a concern. But if they're gonna get me, they're gonna get me. Is my theory. Like, I just don't think me, I just assume, like, I do meet and greets. I'm literally a comedian who puts the time I'm going to be on stage on, like, there's metal detectors at some shows, but, like, I can't, if I was actually scared, I would just stop performing, because what am I going to do? I mean, I'm scared of people assaulting me on stage now. That's a new fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Dave Chappelle on Tuesday.
I know.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen after the Will Smith thing. You just knew.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened more.
Yeah,
I just tell people at my shows, just leave and then write me on a DM about why I offended you, and I'll figure it out. I'll change. I'll actually listen to you. Like, I don't mind if you're offended by what I say, because I do get things wrong sometimes, and I will hurt people's feelings unintentionally. It's never my goal. So please just let me know if I get something wrong. Like, I'm not like a doctor. I didn't go to school for this. I'm just a dumb girl who went to comedy clubs thousands of times and learned this skill. Like, I talk into a microphone like I'm giving a TED talk, but I have no degrees. I will be.
Yes, you do have a degree.
Well, I have a degree.
Okay.
But it's not.
I paid for that degree.
Yes, that's a good point. I don't want to dismiss my bachelor's in English from KU, but we should dismiss it because I got through based on Spark Notes for that whole degree. But yeah, I just feel like I'm a comedian who is willing to be wrong and apologize. So please don't punch me. I will tell you I'm sorry after you just DM me your feelings.
That is producer Emily Woodbury talking with Nikki and EJ Glaser about the new reality show, Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser. It airs on Sunday nights at 10. We need to take a quick break, but we'll be back to listen to more of this conversation. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.
Welcome back. Yesterday, our producer Emily Woodbury sat down with comedian Nikki Glaser and her dad, EJ Glaser, to talk about their experience working on a new reality show about Nikki's return to St. Louis. Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser documents Nikki's experiences reconnecting with old friends, doing comedy in her hometown, and her upcoming musical endeavors.
In the past 12 years, you may have seen EJ perform in town with his band, Glaze and the Moon Kings. And I have to say, part of the reason we invited you both here today, you're both on the show, Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser, but it seems like music runs in the family. You know, EJ, you were a professional musician until 27, and then you got back into it around 2010, is that right?
Very good, yeah. Yeah, I played for a living back in, we lived in Cincinnati before moving to St. Louis, and I played for a living, but I never had the confidence like Nikki has in her career. I knew I was pretty good, but I just didn't have the confidence to think I could make a good living doing it. So I got a real job, and I got in the cable television business. That's how I ended up in St. Louis, working with Charter Communications. And I was involved with doing promos for the Sheldon Theater right across the street here, and they had an opportunity. One of the directors there said, "Hey, we're going to do a concert series called Musicians with Real Jobs." And so I was a musician with a real job because I kept my chops up over the years. So I got to perform there, and it was a dream of mine to perform at the Sheldon. And after I performed there, I started getting calls to do gigs, and I just played by myself like a 20-minute set along with some other folks in town. And so then I started performing and put a band together and started getting gigs. And I've been doing it, I guess, since around 2001. I've been playing around St. Louis and not totally involved in the music scene, but kind of doing it in my neighborhood. And, we play at various venues. But I guess I've played pretty much all over town. But I have a band with a guy named Dave Moon and a guy named Jim King. And so we call it the Moon Kings and Glaser and the Moon Kings. We all get equal billing.
And now, Nikki, you are taking, last time we had you on the show, you were telling us that you're taking singing lessons with a woman in town. And,
yes.
You've been active on Instagram, doing Instagram live performances. What sparked this for you? You said on your show that you have always wanted to be a singer-songwriter, but you're just starting to really work towards it now.
Yeah, it was always something that I've always loved music more than a lot of my friends. I've always had like a really intense appreciation and love of music. It's always like helped me process my feelings, and it's always just been something that's always been there for me, but it's always felt like I just couldn't do it because it wasn't something that really came naturally to me. I sang in high school in the choir and a cappella at Kirkwood, but I was always just I wasn't great at it. And I just felt I was under the assumption that if you're not great at something right away, you just like don't have it, because I didn't realize that talent is mostly hard work. But I just saw people around me seem like out of nowhere just be good. And I got feedback from a really mean vocal teacher in town. You're still out there. I really hate you. That I was taking lessons, and she told my mom, like, she doesn't have it. Like, this is a waste of your money. And when I heard that, I was just like, okay, shutting this down. Like, no more of this. And then playing guitar was just, anyone who has a parent that's really good at something, when you pick up the thing that they do, they try to teach you. And it's not easy. Like, I know a lot of people whose parents are famous people, and they resist the thing that their parent does, even though they might have the same desire to do it, because you compare yourself. I'm a big compare and despair person. So seeing my dad play and hearing my buzzy chords when I would try to pick up a guitar when I was little, like, I just was just like, well, I just either need to be naturally talented or I'm not going to do it. And then during the pandemic is when comedy was taken from me, overnight, and there were a lot of guitars laying around in my parents' house. And then Taylor Swift's album Folklore came out, which was very like acoustic, heavy, just like, bare bones. And I think it was just one song that I was like, God, I'm just like dying to like sing this song. Like, I just want to like be able to perform it. So I think I just picked up a guitar and learned some chords. And then I think now at the age of 37, I'm like, oh, I'm allowed to be bad at something, and that I really do understand how long it takes to get good at something. So I was like, let me just devote all my time to doing this. And then, so now I can, play. And I always tell people whenever I'm traveling with my guitar, people are always like, oh, you a singer? What do you play? And I'm like, I play guitar really badly, but it's just a hobby I bring with me on the road. And they're like, I'm 45. I always wanted to play. And I'm like, it takes 2 years. Like 2 years, and you can play literally any song you want.
I tell people the same thing. I'm so proud of you for doing it later in life. But you took lessons in 7th, 8th grade, but you never really focused on it.
Yeah, because I don't like scales. I don't want to learn like music theory. And I think that for me, I just wanted to play some songs so that I could feel my feelings, because comedy doesn't let you feel your feelings. Everything you say, it might be like, oh, I'm feeling sad about this thing. And then the second you're vulnerable, you go, I'm just kidding. You take it away. But music, it's like, it's all emotions. It's very awkward. It's very uncomfortable. It's the opposite of comedy for me. It's so sincere. And that is why I'm actually kind of resistant to actually writing real songs, because as a comedian, you can't do anything that might make you look too sincere or ridiculous. You have to be in control all the time. And if you look ridiculous, it's because you wanted to. And that's why, I got trashed by a bunch of comedians after I put out this song dedicated to my friend Bob Saget, who had died right when I was recording some songs just for fun. Was not planning on, putting out anything. But then he died, and I felt like the song was good, and I put it out just as like a gift to him to put in the universe. And I got trashed by comedians being like, who does she think she is? Oh my God, she thinks she's so sweet. Making fun, because it was a serious song. It wasn't like, a jokey song.
Howard Stern played it, and he was like, I kept listening to it, waiting for the part where it's going to be funny, and it was never funny.
Yeah.
What is Nikki doing?
But you
he didn't trash you.
Yeah, he did. He did. I got trashed, but I knew I was going to, because comedians are so insecure. They cannot put themselves out there in any kind of way. They're always. I realized this with the first pitch I threw at the Cardinals game. It was off. I wasn't proud of it. I'm not a pitcher. I'm not sporty. That's why I do comedy. So everyone's like, it wasn't that good. I'm like, what did you expect? And then I go, why aren't there like more famous people's first pitches that I can see? Why isn't Jerry Seinfeld throwing a first pitch? What about Dave Chappelle? What about literally any comedian? And you know why? Because of course they've been asked. They don't do it because they might look dumb and it's not on their terms. No comedians like to look stupid. They are so insecure. And so I'm actually proud of myself, and I fight that urge to look cool all the time and to actually put myself in situations, Dancing with the Stars, American Ninja Warrior Celebrity Edition, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Celebrity Edition, things where I'm like, this is not my forte. I might look stupid, and I'm taking this seriously, and I do. I get voted off first. I'm the worst on Ninja. Humiliating things, but I'm still alive. When you get voted off Dancing with the Stars first, or you throw a bad first pitch and everyone makes fun of you, you realize, well, then there's nothing to be scared of. Because this is my worst nightmare, is embarrassing myself in front of America and having ABC kick me off immediately. Then what is there to be scared of if that didn't kill me? So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the pitch, because a week ago, it was Nikki Glaser Day. The mayor declared this Nikki Glaser Day, April 28th, in the city of St. Louis. You threw the first pitch at the Cardinals game.
We're going to celebrate that every year now, right?
No, I think it's a 1-year thing, but I found that out the hard way. Yeah.
But now you have a key to Ballpark Village?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what do you get with that?
I'm just going to break into, what's his name? What's the guy's locker that has long hair? The baseball player. This is how little I know. He lives in my building too. Yeah, Bader. With the key. I'm just gonna break into Harrison Bader's locker and steal his scrunchies.
No, I think the key with $12 gets you a beer. At Ballpark.
Yeah, it was a great honor. It was obviously something that the city said yes to, but it was part of E's promotional plan for the show, which they killed it in every way for the show. It's everywhere. It's almost obnoxiously everywhere. And so it was just a huge honor to have everyone so involved and so excited about it. And but I do want to be clear, I did not ask for that. I am not someone who wants a Nikki Glaser Day. It's hard to turn down a Nikki Glaser Day.
I wanted it.
But it was more...
You're going to celebrate it, EJ.
It was a little bit embarrassing to be that much like... I'm already like... I have my own show with my name. I have a podcast with my name. I was like, oh God, people are just going to think I'm the biggest narcissist. But it was actually a really fun day.
Well, EJ, back to the music. Your Instagram blew up after performing with Nikki at McKnight Place Senior Living during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself following Nikki's lead now? So Nikki's following your lead by playing guitar and singing. Are you going to be performing more on social media? Are we going to see more?
Nikki always tells me, go on Instagram Live. And I guess I'm just not that. I just feel like but I should start doing it because it's fun.
Yeah, I do it and I'm bad.
Whenever Nikki puts me on there, her fans usually like it. And when I was at the Ryman, Nikki has a meet and greet, and one of her fans came up with a Nikki Glaser poster and said, could you sign this for me? And I'm like, are you kidding me?
And he goes, do you want Nikki's autograph? And he goes, no, just yours. It was like, she goes, her name's already
on it.
You're
such a great guitar player. I'm like, come on. You've just seen me play.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was totally...
Well, I always go live on my Instagram because I am too embarrassed to play guitar. Like I go live on my Nikki Glaser Pod is the name of the Instagram account I go live on, because it's people who listen to my podcast who are very sweet and supportive. If I went live on my own, I would get trashed. People would go, be funny. What is this? But it's essentially me practicing performing music live. And it's so rewarding. It's it literally is my favorite thing to do. And you should absolutely do it.
It's cool. I will do it. It'll be fun.
It's so fun.
And if 3 people are listening, what the hell? It's better.
Mine's sometimes a couple people, but it's like they still are there watching something. I have to have an audience to practice. For some reason, I need accountability. If I'm ever working on something, I need to go to a Starbucks so there are people around. My ADD does not let me practice in a vacuum. I need performance to be myself. I need someone there to witness it. And so Instagram Live has been amazing for me.
It was funny, during the pandemic I performed at Highway 61 Roadhouse outside, And I was doing it just for tips because they didn't know how many people were going to show up. And so Nikki said, you should have a Venmo, sign to let people Venmo you from a distance. And so I was playing, and she put me on Instagram Live, and my other daughter, Lauren, she was making a sign for the Venmo thing, and her fans saw the Venmo. And within 3 minutes, I had hundreds of dollars in my Venmo account.
Yeah,
so,
that's how it works, baby.
I was amazed.
Yeah.
Are we going to see you both perform on Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser?
Yes.
Do you both play on the show?
We did. Nikki did her podcast live at Joe's Cafe, which is the coolest venue in St. Louis, by the way.
It's so cool.
For anybody. They're open 2 Thursdays a month. And if you want to see live music in St. Louis and actually hear it, Joe's Cafe, you're not allowed to talk until the intermission. So it's the best place.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did a couple songs there. And
yeah. And whenever he performs, I usually show up if I'm in town and like he lets me do a couple songs with him. It's just, I'm used to performing and I love performing, but I'm going to start maybe going to open mics for music and things like that because it's just, I've only done comedy because I was scared to do music. Like every comedian wants to be a musician. Every musician wants to be a comedian. However, we really let musicians get away with doing comedy in between their songs. They say anything and we all die laughing because
so true.
They can just be, Dave Matthews goes, "It smells pretty good out there tonight," and we're like, "He smells weed. He's kind of referencing weed," and we're like, "Oh my God, he's hilarious." Yet if I try to sing a song in between my jokes, everyone's like, "What is this? Stop. Be funny. This isn't your forte."
But when Glaser and the Moon Kings perform, when Nikki's in town, she usually comes up and does a couple songs.
Yeah,
she's
fun.
done at Highway 61 Roadhouse and Joe's Cafe.
Yeah, I love it. So. It's my favorite thing. But it is it's embarrassing because with comedy, you tell a joke and immediately you know whether or not you were good. You get a laugh. And then if you don't get a laugh, you change to something else. Like you are constantly getting validation if this is good or not. With music, you do 4 minutes where you're like, I don't know. And then at the end, they all applaud whether you did well or not. Like it's really it's so weird. You don't know if you're good ever. And people, I just need validation more. It's just very vulnerable. Music is a totally different beast. It's very intimidating. Shout out to every musician out there. I don't know how you do it.
Well, you play bars, nobody listens anyway, so.
I know. I'm used to people getting tossed out of a room if they talk. My dad performs in places where people are shouting over him and slightly annoyed that there happens to be music playing next to them, that they chose to be there.
True.
It's so weird.
They listen every once in a while.
Yeah.
So we may hear you at some open mics in town. For Pete fans listening, do you encourage them to come see?
Yeah, I'll probably put it out there if I start doing it. There was a part of me that wanted to do it in disguise. I just don't want I don't want people showing up expecting anything except me being bad at music. Because when I started comedy, I was bad at open mics. I was not. There was times where I had little hits of being good where it was okay, I got something here, but I was mostly really bad. You are bad in the beginning. There's no reason I should be good at singing and songwriting. And I think that anyone coming out to see me, I just don't want anyone to show up being this wasn't funny at all, because it's not. It's going to be awkward. Well, and I kind of wish that I just could perform. I'm thinking about creating a stage name or something so I can start without anyone just giving me the benefit of the doubt because have a name for myself. I just want to do
Nikki
it naturally.
has a few other original songs in the can right now, so I don't know what you're going to do with them.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just write songs and then I never look at them again because they're so humiliating and just they're just journal entries. I don't know how people write songs. They're so it's just so men hate emotions, they won't go to therapy and stuff, but yet they can be I loved her in the moonlight, and you're just why is this acceptable when you moan it and we all love it, but then if you guys cry we make you feel bad about it.
I really did love her in the moonlight. You know
Oh, it's so vulnerable.
Well, Nikki, EJ, I want to thank you both so much for coming in today.
Thank you, Emily.
Oh, it's been a blast, Emily.
That was producer Emily Woodbury talking with Nikki and EJ Glaser. The new reality show featuring both of them is called Welcome Home, Nikki Glaser. It airs on E! At 10 p.m. Sundays. It's also available to stream on the NBC website and the NBC app. This episode was produced by Emily Woodbury and Jane Mather-Glass, with audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr. Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.